There's a photograph from the 2026 World Cup that most people haven't seen. It shows a man in a wheelchair, and standing beside him, arms wrapped around him in a full embrace, is the man who put him there, the victim, hugging his attacker, voluntarily, with genuine warmth. And when you hold that image in one hand and FIFA's disciplinary ruling in the other, one of those two things starts looking completely indefensible. FIFA just handed a 5-game ban to Asim Modibo of Qatar, the heaviest suspension issued to any player at this entire tournament. A ban so long it doesn't just end his World Cup, it spills forward into fixtures that don't even exist yet. And the man receiving it had never, in 64 appearances for his country, been sent off before. Not once. 64 caps, 0 red cards. So what exactly happened here? Because the answer is far more complicated than the headlines made it look. And the more carefully you go through it, the worse FIFA comes out. Let's go back to Vancouver. Canada against Qatar. By the 51st minute, this match was already over as a competition. Canada were running riot. On their way to a historic 6-0, their first World Cup victory ever, and Qatar were playing out time with nothing left to fight for. Modibo went for a challenge on Canada's Ismail Kone, arrived a fraction of a second too late, caught the back of his leg. And what followed was genuinely horrible. Canada's head coach Jesse Marsh said he could hear the bones snap from the touchline. Kone went off on a stretcher with a double fracture of the tibia and fibula. Surgery followed. His World Cup was finished before it properly began. And the gut reaction when you see that? Throw the book at him. Someone broke a man's leg. Case closed. But here's where you have to slow down because the specific facts of this case are genuinely uncomfortable. The referee's very first instinct was to reach for yellow. Not red, yellow. He only upgraded it to a red card once the full severity of the injury became impossible to ignore. Not because a replay revealed hidden violence, not because VAR flagged something missed in real time, but because a man was lying motionless on the grass with 2 broken bones, and a yellow card felt wrong in that context. That one detail contains the entire controversy. The tackle did not look like a red. It became a red because of what it did. Those are 2 completely different things, and FIFA's disciplinary panel appears to have confused them. Go back and watch the footage. Kone had already played the ball away before contact was made. Modibo arrived late, not viciously late, not studs up with malice stamped all over it, but clumsy late. The kind of mistimed challenge that earns a whistle and a free kick, and a shake of the head in almost every professional match. Except this one landed at precisely the wrong angle, and through sheer rotten luck broke a man's leg in 2 places. And the people closest to the incident said exactly that. Jesse Marsh, whose midfielder was now in surgery, told the press publicly that he didn't believe Modibo meant to cause what happened. Said he didn't fault him for it. Think about what it takes for a manager to make that statement in public, in the hours after watching his player carried off. That is not diplomatic spin. That is a man who watched the replay multiple times and decided to tell the truth. Modibo left the pitch in tears. He went into Canada's dressing room after the final whistle and apologized in person. Then he visited Kone in hospital. And there is a real, documented photograph of Ismail Kone sitting in a wheelchair after his surgery, and Asim Modibo standing beside him, and the 2 of them in a full embrace. The man whose leg was broken, hugging the man who broke it. If that image is not the clearest possible statement about intent, about the complete absence of malice, then nothing ever will be. And then FIFA handed him 5 games. If this kind of deep breakdown of what is actually happening beneath the surface of this World Cup is what brings you here, hit subscribe now, because what comes next in this story is where FIFA's position really starts to collapse. Here is the inconsistency that nobody who cares about fair sporting discipline should be able to walk past. At this same tournament, just days after Modibo's ban was confirmed, Brazil's Danilo went into Kieran Tierney of Scotland with a challenge that multiple analysts described as equally reckless. Shin height, late. the kind that makes a stadium hold its breath. But Tierney got up. No broken leg. Danilo's punishment? A yellow card. One yellow card. Same broad category of foul by almost any objective reading. Wildly different outcome. Wildly different punishment. The only variable that changed between those two incidents was whether someone ended up in surgery. That is all. That is FIFA grading the consequence instead of the crime. And once you see it clearly, it is impossible to unsee. Two players can commit the same challenge at the same speed with the same intent and face completely different bans depending entirely on how the collision lands. Whether the ankle holds or it gives way. Whether the angle is 1 degree off or not. That is not a disciplinary system. That is a lottery disguised as due process. And now, here is where it gets genuinely damaging for FIFA, because this is the same organization that has shown extraordinary flexibility about bans when powerful names were involved. Cristiano Ronaldo was sent off in qualification and faced a suspension that, by the rules, should have covered his opening World Cup fixtures. FIFA waived it. Argentina's Nicolas Otamendi and Ecuador's Moises Caicedo were both dismissed in their final qualifying matches and should have carried bans into this tournament. FIFA cleared both of them. The stated justification in every case was identical: to ensure that every nation could compete with their strongest possible squad on the biggest stage of men's international football. So when lifting a ban means keeping a global superstar available for a marquee fixture that FIFA needs to be spectacular, the rules bend. When it is Asim Madibo, solid, experienced, respected, but from a team already eliminated and carrying no commercial weight for the later stages, suddenly the rulebook is rigid, the punishment is maximum, and flexibility does not exist. 5 games, no leniency, no public explanation beyond a short statement citing serious foul play. The man most convenient to make an example of, and it reeks of exactly that. An example made for optics, not for principle. To give FIFA their strongest argument because fairness demands it, the laws of football define serious foul play as a challenge involving excessive force or brutality. And if a tackle is powerful enough to fracture 2 bones simultaneously, there is a logical case that the force involved was excessive by definition. A red card on those grounds can be defended. The minimum ban under FIFA's own code for serious foul play is 2 matches. Add a third to signal that dangerous challenges at a World Cup carry real consequences, and you have a position that can be argued. But 5? 5 games? For a player with no disciplinary history, whose challenge drew yellow from the referee's first instinct, whose victim embraced him in a hospital room, whose victim's manager publicly said there was no intent? 5 is not punishment calibrated to the act. 5 is a number chosen to match the scale of the image, not the scale of the offense. And that is the difference between justice and optics. Qatar can appeal, and a lot of people in football hope they do. But as it stands, FIFA has done the precise thing a functioning disciplinary system must never do: punished the outcome rather than the act. The same challenge earns 5 games or a yellow card depending on how the body falls. The same organization that found flexibility for superstar cases found none here. A player with a clean record across 64 internationals now carries a suspension into games that haven't been scheduled, for a tackle the victim's own coach refused to condemn. So here is the question, and I want to hear your honest answer. When you put it all together, the referee reaching for yellow, Kone's forgiveness, the photograph in the hospital, Madibo's spotless 64 cap record, the waived bans for bigger names, Danilo's yellow for a near-identical challenge, does this feel like justice to you? Or does it feel like FIFA saw an ugly image going viral, needed someone to take the fall publicly, and picked the person most convenient to carry it? Drop your answer below. And if you want to keep following every decision at this World Cup that does not add up, subscribe. Because trust me, this is not the last one. The questions are not going anywhere, and neither is this channel.